Llanowar Elves to kick things off. Exactly what Doomwake wants. Devon, in this instance, we're going to get things going here with a shadowy backstreet for John and Cuvelier. Do we surveil this card to the bottom? Or to the library, or graveyard, that's what it's called. Hopeless Nightmare in the bin. Ooh, perhaps.
There we go. Yeah, absolutely. Easily could know, I mean,
nice.
Does stream, so the information is always a little face up. Starting with a tap land here, not ideal for John, but the thing is, with these 3-color mana bases, sometimes they're not great, and they do count as a plains and a swamp to help out your Verges.
Verges are such sweet cards, as we see now 2 of our scavengers hit the board. This card was an absolute beating in limited, excuse me, for Duskmourn. So it's kind of cool that they have found a home here alongside their Sheltered by Ghosts.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see if there is a powerful follow-up here. And the name of the game from Devon O'Donnell's deck is Celestia tokens, basically, and playing the Collector's Cage. So really trying to get a cage, get an Overlord underneath the cage, and then get 3 different powers and kind of go way over the top of basically every deck. So that's what Devon is going to be trying to do the majority of this game. And looks like we're going to see an impending Overlord here, which is also just amazing right now.
Yeah. So many tokens now.
Yeah.
If we see something like the Toby Beastie Befriender, all those tokens then gain flying. Having the 2 Pulpatch recruits out as well makes any targeted removal from John Cuvier's side of things just that much worse.
Yeah, honestly, an amazing start here from Doomwake up top, and a little lackluster here from John, and being on the draw. So John is definitely in for an uphill battle here for sure.
Yeah, not looking super hot right now, just with 2. I guess they are optimistic scavengers, so, we'll try and keep the hope alive here just a little bit longer.
Oh boy, and you saw John just shrug, and here it is. Hopeless Nightmare brings in the Liege.
Look at him smiling. He knows. That's so cool. Now all of his green and all of his white creatures get the buff, and this is just going to be lights out now for John Cuvelier.
I don't know why everyone's playing this Hopeless Nightmare card. 1 mana, your opponent loses 2 life, but they get a 4/4 that boosts their team. Doesn't seem very good to me, anyway.
Oh, just the fact that there's like 2 variants of this card making its rounds. That's so fun.
And just with the reaction from John there, John knows. John knew they were in the main deck. This was not a secret. I'm sure these 2 are buddies in some regard. And that was pretty face up, it looked like, from John's reaction. Now I bet, especially if John knows that there is the 4 of in the 75, the first 4 cards that are going to be sideboarded out are Hopeless Nightmare.
Oh, that's a fun little game to play then. If you're Devon, you're just going to be like, haha, what are the odds that he's taken all of them out, so I can now take these out?
I mean, I still don't even think you take them out. The card's just great in the deck.
Funny.
It's still a fine card to have underneath the cage.
Yeah.
So I bet Devon is still going to bring him in, but we'll see.
Because the cage you can do at instant speed, right? Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Sweet. Yeah, oof, yeah. Getting the Wiltley Liege out, that's a mouthful. Try to say that 10 times.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, Sheltered by Ghosts. We're going to trigger some Bunny Wabbits.
So this is all great and everything, but Sheltered by Ghost is going to exile this, then...
Get 2 counters of Optimistic Scavenger's Own.
Yep, and I don't know if Devon forgot, but the Paw Patch is a spell or ability. So the Shelter by Ghosts, this was definitely missed.
Yeah, those rabbits definitely need to be putting counters on things, and clearly they're not paying attention. Bad rabbits, no carrots.
Yeah, and I mean, that is huge because...
Those flyers could just easily end the game.
Well, not even that. You could have put 1 counter on one of those 2 on flyers, and then the scavenger couldn't have got in there because it would have had enough power to deal with this creature. So an extremely big blunder here from Devon O'Donnell.
Oopsies. That's not what you want to be seeing at this stage in the tournament. It is obviously a very long day. This is round 8. So things will get missed as the tournament progresses, but let's hope that doesn't bite Devon in the butt.
Yep, absolutely. And, this is the thing. You saw a little slap of the face there from Devon. Competitive IRL. There's you can miss everything. Yep. And, it's not up to your opponent to remind you of things like that. So, gotta remember your stuff. That's for sure.
Lifelink now on the Optimistic Scavenger. It now has Ward. All of the counters just getting piled onto this powerful little 1-drop.
Yeah.
1-drops lately have been kind of nuts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ball Patch Recruit, an uncommon here that just keeps growing the more you feed it. Like, wow.
Yep, absolutely. Dynamic 1-drops here in Standard, especially the still the best one. I'm going to stand by it, even though I'm a Magic boomer here. Llanowar Elf. Obviously the best.
Overrated.
He probably, compared to some of these other 1-drops, it's hard to argue with that on... hard to argue with you on
Dice
that
Burst
one.
Lightning. Dice to Shock if anyone's playing those this weekend. I'm sure there are quite a couple.
Solid argument.
Oh, we got the Liege back. Wilt Leaf Liege. All right, I'll get this right. Wilt Leaf Liege. I got it. Back on board here, now buffing the buddies in the air. So what's that, 6 damage now coming across?
Yeah, and that's all fine and good, but when you're attacking for 6 and gaining life, like I agree with Devon's assessment here, like just hold back, try to block, and go from there. But now we see 2 lands and 2 this town ain't big enough, it looks like, and I mean, that hand is good enough, that's for sure.
Oh boy. What's a good target on John's side of things to get the discount?
It depends on what the blockers are. I would probably just attack here and see what Devon does for blockers, because you can just bounce the Liege, bounce your own Nightmare, bounce a couple things just to make sure your Scavenger doesn't die.
Yeah.
But that's the math John is doing right now. Be like, okay, start with the math of what happens if Devon blocks everything onto the Scavenger. Can it die?
Because this is what, 7...
Yeah.
What is that? 7-5? Because it's a 2 on it base, gets 4 counters on it.
A 6-5 right now.
Oh, it's a 1-1.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Why did I think it was a 2-1?
Maybe that's why you think all the 1-drops are so busted.
Maybe.
You're adding power
I'm
to
just
these,
giving them
Ailey.
extra power. Yeah, whoops. My bad.
All right, so this time it was on the token. So that is trying to deal with the Paw Patch Recruit token. And Devon did hit, the table, recognizing I'm going to put a counter on something this time. And returning the Hopeless Nightmare as well.
Okay. Where did the counter go?
It's still being thought about
Okay,
right now,
gotcha.
so we'll see what Devon decides. Puts it on the Wilt Leaf Liege and puts it on the other token.
Yep. The bug off of the Overlord of the Mistborns. And we're going to go for it just in case. We do know that there are only 2, I believe, Wilt Leaf Lieges in hand or in the main deck. So
in the main deck, yep, absolutely.
John Cuvelier won't get got here again by Devon O'Donnell.
So here goes this Scavenger being able to be put up to 7 toughness. The toughness is kind of the important thing right now.
Yeah.
And, that can just still be dealt with. So I'm not sure John's going to be able to attack with this. We'll see if it's worth it to John, but John does lose a lot if this Sheltered by Ghost goes away.
Yeah.
So I would still say advantage to Devon O'Donnell right now. And really all Doomwake has to find is one of the Shelter by Ghost or Get Lost to be able to deal with that creature.
Yeah.
Since John put all his eggs in one basket, which he does have to do right now for what it's worth. But
so, there's not major pressure for John either to get the swing in, get the life gain, or anything like that. So it's on Devon now to find an answer for this big guy so that he can start putting the pressure down.
Exactly. And John does have another This Town Ain't Big Enough, so next turn can kind of do the same thing. Put 2 more counters on that Scavenger, plus bounce something of Devon's, and replay the Hopeless Nightmare to make Devon discard. So just gets to keep going like that for a while, and then if he can ever find Storm Chaser's talent, you have value indefinitely, as long as you play it the certain way.
Oh, Malira hits the board now. Okay. Overstated 2-drop here. First line of text talks about poison counters, but we don't really care too much about that. It's her exile ability that we are more focused on. So she's able to protect a creature, exiles herself, and then brings it back.
Yep, great card. Basically just reads a 2-mana 3/3 that can save a card.
Yep. Artifact or creature, so that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. And the Overlord there with the 1 counter that will be coming back next turn and will be another big problem. And John just picks up another land there.
Da-da. Da-da. I like to imagine that's the soundtrack for the impending counters as the last one ticks down. All right, so this is kind of the interesting spot with these creature-based strategies because they have removal, but not a whole lot of it because you want to have a proactive game plan if you're playing creature decks, which
Yep.
both of these decks are. So, yeah, it's just who gets the right piece of removal at the right time, as we're going to see this town ain't big enough now. Bouncing the Overlord of the Mistmoors and Hopeless Nightmare.
Really nice play. Only card in hand for
Sweet.
Devon, so make sure to discard that. Plus, you don't
like
get
that.
counters because it's an enchantment. So, John dealt with the impending problem.
Yep.
And now just has to find a way to sneak through damage. So we can put this on here. That would be a total of 9 toughness.
Sweet.
Still able to trade with a lot of Devon O'Donnell's battlefield.
Yep.
And then you get the Wilt Leave Liege back. So I once again agree with John.
Yeah.
You just got to say go.
Eventually it'll get big enough, or eventually Devon will find a removal spell for it, so it's just a case of who gets there first.
Yep. And, some Devon O'Donnell has a lot of great draws. All the collector cages, Sheltered by Ghost, Get Lost. That's a 3-of for Sheltered by Ghost, 2-of by Get Lost, and a 4-of for the Cage as just phenomenal cards to draw right now, as well as plenty of solid ones as well.
Yeah. Also playing, the 3 Sandstorm Salvagers, 4 Sandstorm Salvagers, 4 Sanguine Evangelists, so a bunch more that the deck has to offer we just haven't seen as of yet.
Yeah, I like this list a lot as well. The Seraphic Steed. Seraphic Steed is another card we haven't seen a lot of, but I mean, if you ever played against that in OTJ Limited, you just lose.
Yep.
So
Yep. I've been beaten by many angels coming out of a horse, so
So that card seems sweet. A nice take on this deck list from Devon.
It's a unicorn.
There you go. Unicorn mount. So John did leave a card on top, so we got to think there is something nice there from John. And we'll see how he wants to play it. The other card was a land, so just has the card that he drew. Oof. An Overlord off the top there from Devon, so a great draw.
Nice. Okay.
Decided to not hold it for land number 7 there, and totally agree. You can't really do that against the Hopeless Nightmare deck.
Definitely don't want to be doing that. A recurring duress or, divest or whatever the other version is.
Raven's Crime.
That one, yeah.
Yeah.
Just make you chuck a thing? Yeah. You don't want to deal with that. So just be hellbent. Just have all your cards on the table and, start swinging eventually.
Okay, so decided not to play.
All right.
Decided not to play whatever the card is that John drew. Keeps a Nowhere to Run on top. And that is an instant trick at giving your creature +2/+2, as well as a removal spell. So we might see a Scavenger attack next turn for just a boatload of damage. Now, one thing Devon O'Donnell has on the table at any point is just block with the Melira and then sack it if the life total ever gets too dicey. So John has to keep that in mind. So
that is a sweet little play.
Yeah, so we might even see that Nowhere to Run, just hit Melira right away and just say whatever.
Just get off the board because, that is one of the wrinkles in the plan here of life gain, and you called it Nowhere to Run, trigger, gonna get a counters. Paw Patch Recruit should trigger here too, so let's hope that Devon doesn't miss it. And Melira is the target.
So another Nowhere to Run is on top. So this Scavenger's definitely getting in there, and then we'll see what Devon O'Donnell wants to try to do if it's even possible. Let's do the math. There's 11. We got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you can still take it down in air quotes.
Yeah.
So this could be the turn that ends the game if it doesn't work out for Devon O'Donnell.
All right, Paw Patch is going to give the counter to itself. Melira is going to get got. Any consideration to exile it? Choose another target creature artifact when it is put into the graveyard this turn. I mean, yeah. Maybe just exile it anyway and pick something that it lines a block with?
I think the main thing is it's also a 5/5 right now. So
true.
that was a big blunder by John.
Yeah, you're right. Whoopsies.
That is a 5/5 with Will Leaf Liege. So I guess one punt deserves another here,
yeah,
huh?
all right. We're even in the punt department now. Whoopsie.
Oh boy.
I mean, to be fair, Wilt Leaf Liege isn't something you play very often. Where is this card even from?
I
Is it
played.
reprinted in
Oh, it's been around way back in the day.
Foundations? Okay.
Maybe chat can help us. It's definitely a card that has been around for a long time. I used to play back in the day. I used to play it in a green-white aggro deck with Noble Hire, Kitchen Finks, Windbrisk Heights, you know? And this is basically that deck reincarnated.
Oh, boy.
Shadowmoor. Okay, thank you.
Good job, Chad. No way to run once again. Now, let's, I don't know, because the Lieges don't buff themselves unless there's two of them on the board, then yes, they
Yeah.
are. So how big is that idiot?
So that one will be able to be killed.
Okay.
So we've done it.
We got there. We got there.
And now we'll see what John can do.
All right. Impending counter down. Pass the turn back. Jeez. John's a 2.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way out here because you can just attack and sack
Malira,
the
yeah.
Malira, yeah.
And then just pick something and then, whew, yeah. Okay, so, thankfully for Devon's side of things, missing those triggers with the Paw Patch early in the game didn't come back to punish him at all. So
I think they were just buddies, and John's like, you know what? You made that blunder. I'm gonna do one as well. We'll make it even, you know, and then we'll start from here. Nothing but clean magic from here on out.
Corey. Not when you are 7-0 in a tournament that could potentially get you onto the Pro Tour.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
This ain't no kitchen table magic. All right. Let's look at sideboards here now. Devon picking up the win there up against John Cuvelier. So for the Esper Pixie side of things, what are you bringing in?
All right, so what do we want to bring in here? I like Lauren of the Third Path to be able to deal with some enchantments. Destroy Evil seems pretty decent as well for the Overlords. Outside of that, nothing seems overly exciting. Since John is on the play, Kaitos can easily come in. I think that looks like a card to me where John just has them on the play, doesn't have them on the draw if they're remotely playable. So I would probably start with that. The Shrouded Shepherd seems pretty decent as well. There's a decent amount of X1s. There's also a decent amount of ways to boost those creatures. So it is a little bit situational, but I think it's probably good enough to bring in there. So those would be the 4 cards I would be considering. And then looking up from Doomwake's side, bringing in here, I would easily like Split Up. We just saw how the stalemate just happened there. So if you're able to, in any way, turn your creatures sideways, get John's creatures that are untapped or vice versa. I think I might bring in those Wilt Leaf Lieges, believe it or not. I know. Shock and awe heard around the world. And outside of that, nothing stands out too much.
Oh, you know what's pretty cool? If the unicorn survives, that's such a cool way to tap down your entire board, barring the Seraphic Steed, and then playing Split Up to kill everything.
Absolutely, yeah. Saddle and Split Up is an unbelievable combo. And it's not like you need, your Llanowar elves. You can saddle way more than 4, so you can just tap your whole board. It doesn't have to be like each creature has power 4 or anything like that. So.
Yeah, just as many as you want. Just chuck them into the boats, if we're looking at a crew situation.
And I would assume the main thing for John is get all the Hopeless Nightmares out of there. I just don't think he can risk it when very clearly either these two are buddies or Devon made some content on the 4 Wilt Leaf Liege. That's kind of the disadvantage of being a content creator at some point. People do see it. So you play against them, you do give away your secrets. Yep.
Well, you know what? It hasn't hurt Devon so far, sitting pretty at 7-0. And up a game here in round number 8. So
And this is awesome. You know, like we see two of our 10 undefeated players playing the new hotness. You know, Celestia Tokens, I would say, is probably from 3 weeks ago. And this Esper Pixie, you know, kind of popped up about 2 weeks ago / last week, started doing some really nice work in Magic Online challenges and stuff like that. So it's just really nice to see players pick up those decks, get enough reps in them, and, you know, change a lot of cards where these don't look like the stock lists that we saw, and just really shows that their work into this tournament is paying off.
Yeah. Absolutely. I imagine testing for standard or, you know, most formats at the moment is pretty fun.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, Magic is at a really great place. You know, all the formats are great. And, you know, all these SCG cons, they're going to have different formats across all of them. So, going to be a lot of fun. And all of you should come out and play.
Yeah. Come play. Come hang out with us. Come try and beat the content creators that you enjoy watching on stream.
This hand looks great.
Ooh, nice. Let's go. Let's boogie. Concealed Courtyard to kick things off. No one drop.
Okay, maybe no blue. I was going to say, if we start with Storm Chaser Talon, it looks awesome, but no blue to start it off, which still reasonable.
Yeah, okay. Just getting rid of the Llanowar Elves. That art is terrifying, just by the way. It kind of looks like a cross-section of the elf.
The Llanowar Elf? Yeah, absolutely. Art's terrifying, and the card itself is that terrifying.
Meh. So. It's meh.
Paw
Patch Recruit. Woo! Rabbit, go!
Are you a Llanowar Elf hater?
I mean, they're fine. I hate seeing them turn 1, I'll tell you that much.
Will you grab this knife out of my back real quick, Ailey?
Oh, boy. Hey, Pixie!
So, as it stands, though, it looks like John doesn't really have any great follow-ups unless we can get an ability to add blue. These Verges are great, but if you just have Concealed Courtyard and lands like that, they don't help you out. That's another blue card, so they're sheltered by Ghost here. But outside of that, John looks to be completely out of castable spells.
Yeah, nope. We definitely need a basic land type as Sandstorm Salvager. Who put all the alliteration in this set? I wish to have words with you. I just want to talk. I just want to talk. That's all.
So,
oh boy.
John does just have all blue cards in hand. So right now can't cast anything. But if you were to just top deck an island, you have 2 blue sources and everything's online and big advantage to John. But this draw step is really going to be the difference in the game.
Yep.
It has to be there right now.
So, John in a bit of a pickle at the moment as an Overlord of the Mist Moors. His cost for its impending. Seacrum Coast. It's blue eventually.
Yeah, that's a terrible land. I mean, it's good because there's blue, but not great. Not great at all.
He's going to be putting a lot of stock in this here Pixie, gaining him some life.
And with the Flyers coming down on defense, you're not able to get through with this Pixie to start gaining some life. At least next turn, John is able to do Fear of Isolation. Nowhere to run. I mean, that's fine. But if Devon has a big turn here, big trouble for John fans.
Yep. Also now has to keep in mind. Oh, boy. Big, more trouble. Rabbits are here. Paw Patch Recruit. ×2 hit the board. So anything now, i.e. nowhere to run, is just going to be putting 2 counters on creatures here.
Yeah.
And there's also the Sandstorm Salvager that can put counters down too. I'll get there.
This is probably the best Paw Patch Recruit deck I've seen.
It's cool.
Like,
it's cool.
Not only do you have the Sandstorm Salvagers to pump, you get 2 bodies to help with the cage. You know, you go so wide that, you know, spot removal is already not great, but they make it even worse, those little rabbits. So, this seems like a really tough matchup for John.
You gotta kill the rabbits.
Yeah, and I mean, John's deck is constantly targeting creatures.
Yeah.
So this style of Celestia Tokens is really good against that. It's really good against Dimir. Those are the decks Devon wants to be playing against over and over. You just don't want to play against Sunfall and Domain. But to be fair, you know, that Devon's kind of made it past the point where he's going to start playing against the random decks. When you're at 7-0, you're pretty safe from those most of the time. Except, of course, our Azorius Omniscience deck.
Yeah, because, you know, in this kind of situation, you would love non-targeted removal. You'd love to see a Wrath of God style effect, but, you know, being a creature-based deck, that's not something you're going to be playing.
Yep. And right now, the Shrouded Shepherd, the only real sweeper style of effect that John would have, is kind of off the table. You know, it looked really good, and it would have been good up until that last turn, but Devon had that on his radar and made sure that there's 2 toughness, and now he's feeling real great about it.
Yeah. I think the only one that's 1 toughness is the original Paw Patch.
The original Paw Patch and the Salvager.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look at this. Like, sure, you get a Shelter by Ghost. You deal with a 3 toughness flyer, but distribute 2 +1/+1 counters, pending Devon remembers.
Yeah. Oy. These recruits, man, they are rough.
Yeah, and all this is saying for John gets to get in there with the Pixie and gain a little bit of life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a great thing to do, but still, John is very far behind in this game.
I mean, it's got a 2-3 up against an army of little idiots that just keep getting bigger and bigger, so.
Yeah.
We haven't seen the cage yet. I want to see cool cage things.
Yeah, Devon so far just hasn't needed it. Just playing good. And the thing is, Cage is good on its own, whether or not you can trigger the ability.
Yeah.
And all the creatures that Devon's playing are good on their own, too. You know?
Yeah, they are.
The fact that most of these style decks that kind of cheat into play one of these really, really big things, most of the time it sucks to draw the really big thing without the payoff.
Yep.
But with the Overlords having that impending payoff, you know, that kind of get out of jail free card thing, it just ends up being no cost whatsoever. So I think the Celestia Tokens deck is really, really strong.
It's sweet. Here comes the Liege, and here comes the army. As Devon O'Donnell looks to be turning everything he possibly can sideways, barring the Sandstorm Salvager. I got there. Ha-ha!
You nailed it.
Thank you.
All of these are boosted +1/+1.
Crikey.
Plus that Overlord's going to go down to 1, so that's going to be a new problem here pretty soon. A lot of bad news bears here for John fans.
Very, very many problems. And there just seem to be more and more just coming out the top of the deck there for Devon, so
yeah,
he's got to be feeling pretty good at this point.
And the thing is, with John's hand, he's basically never going to run out of steam, but the things he's doing is just nowhere near as impactful as what Devon's doing. Like, that's awesome with the Esper Pixie deck. You never run out of steam. You're always killing a creature, maybe adding a 2/3 body to the battlefield like every single turn. And against most decks, that's going to be good. Or if we were at closer to parity, but John's just too far behind, and there's no real catch-up mechanism from this Esper Pixie deck.
No, there's no board wipe. You know, there's no way to prevent the engine that's ticking here.
Yeah.
Humming along nicely for Devon O'Donnell. Jeez. You got Overlord coming in next turn. Paw Patch is putting counters on everything. The Liege buffing stuff. You got the Llama Land as well.
Llama Land.
It is. Look, there's a llama in the picture. It is literally a 3/3 llama.
Okay, I wasn't questioning you. I just think it's funny.
It is funny.
And it does pump the team as well. So, I mean, that is 3 power plus pumps the entire rest of the team. I believe it's green-white as well.
It's green and white, so it itself is a 5/5.
Yep.
Gross.
So that thing attacking alone is plus 10 power. No big deal.
NBD. Oh, boy. Yeah, if I'm in John's seat, I'm thinking about round 9, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, when you're 7-0, like, no matter what, your day is going to be good. 7-2 is, you got to be feeling pretty strong. You can still make the top 8. You might even be able to lose a round depending on how the math works. We'll see all that stuff tomorrow. But losing the last 2, no matter what your record is, even if the best case scenario of 7-2, you still feel terrible.
Yeah. Alrighty. We have a land down, shadowy back street, top of the deck. What you got for us? Whatever it is, it's staying put. So hopefully something to get John and Cuvelier back into this matchup.
So that land does allow the Verge to tap for blue mana as well. So now there's 2 blue, but yeah, it's a small victory here for John Cuvelier fans.
Small victory for the blue mages out there.
Yes.
2 blue. That's all you need. Oh, boy.
This really feels like a black-white deck to me with kind of how it plays.
Yeah.
This kind of small creatures
Grindy.
that have, you know, infinite removal. It feels like a black-white value deck.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen the Demir variant of it, so
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see an Orzhov version make its appearance sometime soon.
Absolutely. Nowhere to Run is one of the very, very key cards.
Yeah.
Bouncing that kind of removal spell over and over
Yeah.
is definitely something that makes this deck tick.
And just negating ward and hexproof.
Yeah.
That's pretty relevant in this format.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Pretty much killed Snakeskin Veil immediately.
Yeah. Rip Snakeskin Veil. Alrighty, where are we going here, John? Yeah, you can see he's been shaking his head. He's like, I don't know, man. Gonna get some life, I guess. Up to 13 he goes. Down to 11 goes Devon.
And there is a Lauren of the first path as an option here to be able to deal with that Overlord. It's not bad. Definitely a solid choice. I think no matter what, you have to deal with that.
Yeah.
If you have the choice. Like, there might be a situation where John is just too far behind and has to deal with the other stuff first.
Yeah. Because the Overlord doesn't attack
Exactly.
next turn.
Exactly. So you can deal with it the turn after,
Yeah.
but then the Paw Patch does get the counter spread to something. So this is the one turn to take away the 2+1/+1 counters, but you might have to also just deal with the Wilt Leaf Liege. Because you know John's factoring in all this math with the land as well being animated.
The Paw Patch recruits just look at all the blue players being like, look at me.
Yeah.
I'm the counterspell now.
Back in my day, we played a 1-mana 2/1 with no abilities, and we liked it. Savannah Lions was good enough.
Meow. Hey, it's back in standard now, isn't it? Yeah.
I
It's in
guess, yeah.
Foundations. There's some cool cat decks you can make, all right?
Definitely,
I
definitely.
wonder if anyone was brave enough to bring it this weekend.
Yeah, there's just, you look at Savannah Lions and then you look at Paw Patch Recruiter and you're like, all
One of
right.
these things is not like the other.
We had to walk uphill both ways to our LGS back then, okay?
Oh, Corey. Turn passes back eventually here. Tough one here for John Cuvelier, doing his damnedest to stay in this. Giving the blocker now, the Sheltered by Ghosts, to, just stave off some damage, get some more life. If Devon decides we're turning things sideways here.
Yeah, and even if that Fear of Isolation gets to trade with something and gain 3, Devon's still just dealing so much more damage than the lifelink negates, so that's what we're doing the math here as well. Like, even the Scavenger gets to be up to 3 power if we attack with the Llama Land, as you were saying. I like that. And so that's a thing. That's a thing to me. When you're attacking with all your creatures that are going to be stronger than your opponent's creatures, the attack's good.
I'm a llama again. 10 points to whoever can tell me where that is from, and I will buy you an adult beverage.
The Emperor's New Groove, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
you get it. Good job.
That's my favorite movie. I'm not
It's
going to lie.
so
I love
good.
it.
No touchy. No touchy. This is essentially what the Paw Patch recruit's saying, as we are swinging in for quite a fair chunk of John Cuvier's life total here. 2 blockers in the way. Doing some quick math.
Yep, putting those dice down to represent the power.
Good job. Thank you. You guys rock.
Wow. Okay,
That's
just
a lot.
just 26 damage coming in. Let's do the.
Yeah, 26.
You can negate 9 of it by blocking one of the 6 power creatures with the lifelinker, and then you can negate another 6. So you can negate 15. You can take 15 off the table there. So I believe that's 11. So John can live with 2 chump blocks. As my quick math there, it could be wrong, but.
Because what he gains 3, so it's effectively at 16.
Yeah, you gain 3 and you prevent 12, so you prevent 15. So you still take 11, go down to 2, and I think that's basically the force block. I don't think John has the ability to kill anything.
I'm gonna block the llama. Sheesh.
Yeah, that doesn't kill the llama, so. It doesn't make sense to block a 5-power creature when you could block a 6. So I think John's going to do the math and just realize it's double chump block. You block the 2 6 powers, you untap, and you
Concede.
you get ready for the next round.
Yeah. Jeez, like this has been an absolute beating, and like I'm not going to sugarcoat it here. Okay?
Yeah.
John has been on the back foot the entire time. This list is sweet. It can do stuff,
Yeah.
but This Selesnya tokens list in the hands of Devon O'Donnell
Yeah.
is brutal.
Yeah, it was that turn where John had to have an untapped blue source to play anything, drew that Seacrum Coast, did nothing. I still think Devon O'Donnell would have been ahead even if we would have top decked a blue land, but, you know, when you miss, the game just ended there.
Owie, owie, owie.
Yeah. So John should be going down to 2.
Draw, fist bump. Is what I'm predicting
Yeah,
here.
I think that's the last thing to figure out is be like, is it going to be a fist bump or a handshake?
Yeah, high five.
Exactly, yeah.
No, elbow bump. I don't know. What else? What else do people do these days?
And just a great showing from the Selesnya tokens list. I really
Sick.
like Devon's list too. There's just a lot of good creatures that aren't just token creatures, you know, they're just good cards.
Does that even do anything? I don't think so. It takes a thing, it gains some life. It's still not going to be enough.
I mean, not with the creature land as well. You know, it's just too much.
Yeah, there's 2 of them. 2 llamas.
Yep.
Yep, that's going to be it. So John Cuvelier falling to an extremely powerful showing from a Selesnya tokens list in the hands of Devon O'Donnell, who goes to 8-0, baby. Woo!
8-0, going to be one of the 5 remaining players that are going to have an undefeated record. So big congrats to Devon O'Donnell.